Hello there, and you're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers FFPL podcast. You join me, the host, along with Eamon, Hector, and Captain Fantastical Mick, where we take a look to see how the managers in this league are getting on for the season. However, we'll also be talking about much more. So kick back, stay tuned, and enjoy. Well, dear listeners, it's great to have you here joining us this week, where the esteemed panel are taking a look at the managers in the Arkham Avengers FFPL. Today, we have Eamon, Hector, and Captain Fantastical Mick in the hot seats. Lads, has Gameweek 7 thrown a spanner in the works for some of our managers, or has it just been a case of it's another week?
Hello to all our listeners, and yes, I think there's a few spanners, all right, and I'm not just referring to some of our managers there. Some of the results caught managers out. We also have Vargate, which took place during the Spurs and Liverpool match, and Luton and Burnley had double game weeks, and I think some of our managers might have thought there was the opportunity that they could make a little killing out of those matches and get some additional points. So, yeah, it's been an interesting game week, to have to say.
Now, Eamon, let's be nice to our managers here. We're not going to call them spanners just yet. The VAR decision in the Spurs-Liverpool match that you referred to here has a lot of Liverpool fans up in arms, but also possibly are other fans out there from other clubs wondering if something similar might occur to their club during a match that they may be involved in.
Yes, concerned they should be there. I mean, Luis Diaz's disallowed goal was a travesty, in my opinion. Of course, the audio recordings of the match officials have now been made public, and they're highlighting the mistake which was made there. And I think it's a poor reflection on VAR. The jury's out, and VAR is good, but in this instance, it hasn't been good.
Mick, you want to join in there?
That's right. Hello to everybody, and I'm back here. That VAR, it was a mistake, but there's going to be learnings come out of that, Eamon. And what has come down to it, it's human error. And under the rules, as far as I know, the officials couldn't go back, and they couldn't give the goal. They couldn't do nothing on the day there.
Interesting. Hector, you have something to add to this, have you?
Yes, I have. Hello to all our listeners. Hello to everyone here today. I think those official guys need to look at rule book and do the changes. Liverpool miss out on goal, they miss out on points, and that game, it could have gone in one direction or another, but for that mistake that was made there. If it were me, I would replay match.
I don't think that's going to happen, Hector.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really all that practical, Hector. I mean, you've got fixtures already set out there into the future, and it could be a game week missed or bad weather or something like that. But although I have heard there is talk about some of the clubs maybe thinking, should there be a replay? I don't know. I'd say the Klopp would probably take a replay if you could get it.
I have to say, practice or not, you're all wrong. Tell me, Mick, you are full of wise words. Be this happen if you were managing team and the goal not given because of this VAR mistake. You would take this up and you would be complaining. You would, yes.
Well, I would be, yeah, Hector. But look, you're just making up a scenario there at the moment.
But Mick, it could be you.
That sounds like something out of a national lottery ad. It could be you. It could be you. It might not be you, but it could be you.
Mick, you give answer. You're wearing these shoes. You want to replay or no? Yes, no. What would you have there?
Hector, there's no point in my answering this question because, it's not going to arise. I'm not in that position there.
Mick, I thought you had the big cojones. That's why I thought you had those.
Hold on a second. Excuse me now for a moment. Now you're saying to me, Hector, that I wouldn't have the kahunas to say I want to replay. But as I said, this doesn't come up here. I'm not in that position. I'm not in Jurgen Klopp's position where Liverpool are being put out there.
But I tell you, Mick, if you were there, you would be saying, give me the replay.
Well, I don't know what I'd be saying, actually. I'd probably be questioning the VAR for a reason. And maybe on the day, I'd have been doing something a little bit more. I'd have been saying to the officials, hold on a second. You got to stop this match now for a few moments till you find out exactly, are you happy with it or not? And perhaps maybe that's one of the rules got to have to be brought in, regulations that before they can continue on that match, they've got to be 100% everybody's happy. And that's the decision. It's the correct decision there. Now, that has nothing to do with me. That has to do with the system. So you can take your kahunas, Hector, and I don't know what you do with them there.
Okay. The double game weeks for Luton and Burnley. Were there points there to be picked up from those matches?
Well, I suppose certainly Luton's 2-1 win over Everton might have got our manager a few points, especially if you went for Carlton Morris as your striker and maybe put him as your captain, took a punt there. I don't think you would have got much from Burnley, especially when they were playing Newcastle and they lost 2-0 there. But however, the Luton-Burnley match, in my view, it depends really on who you had there. And I don't think you were really going to be getting much in the way of points. Now, Burnley did beat Luton 2-1. Would you have somebody there on the team who would have had an assist or scored or got a bonus point? I really don't know. I don't know. Put it like this. I wouldn't have been putting the brown envelope with my weekly wages on either of those teams there.
Mick, you have something to add to this?
I think any manager, though, would have been keeping faith with the lack of Ollie Watkins. And they'll have been rewarded with that fate because Aston Villa bet Brighton 6-1. Eamon's right. Burnley wouldn't be the sort of team that you'd think you want to get a whole of points out of there. And, okay, they did beat Luton, as he says. But would you be doubling up with players with them there, trying to make up extra points? I don't think so. For me, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be doing that. The biggest upset, I think, this week was Wolves beating Man City 2-1. Okay, yeah, Diaz might have scored an own goal there, but you still fancy Man City to get out there and win. I think the missing De Bruyne is a massive thing there. They're missing him, and there's nobody really filling up that spot for him there at the moment.
Can I also add in there, put the cojones to one side now, Mick.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Hector. Well, let's have no more of this cojones business. Sounds like a burger to me.
What I was going to say, we not forget the Crystal Palace also bet the Manchester United 1-0. That has to be a big upset as well, yeah. Yeah, things don't look very settled there at the Man United camp, do they? Well, I don't think they do. And Eamon say about the spanners earlier on the show, and perhaps maybe there's a few spanners in this team. What is the manager doing there?
Well, Hector, you'd be surprised where the spanner would turn up, even on this show.
Huh? Okay, let's keep things nice and settled here. And before we turn to have a look at what our own manager's done, how they got on, can I firstly check in with Mick and say you're most welcome back, and I hope that you've fully recovered from your visit to the dentist.
Yeah, I'm on the mend, thanks very much. My mouth was still a bit sore, because I got an abscess in the gum. Have you ever had one of those?
I can't say I've had one myself there. I know not that.
That's all right, Hector. Don't worry about it.
Well, I had that there. It's everything. I had to go back to the dentist. But it's all tip-top, now. I got a little bit out of an antibiotic and it's helped now. Because my mouth kind of a little bit swollen there. So I'm probably not talking the way I normally talk. So do excuse that there. But, I'm raring to go, as the Leitrim farmer would say when he's off to visit the mart. So, yeah, bring on the show is what I say.
Can I ask, what be this mart thing he talk about? I know not this area.
Hector, a mart is a place where farmers will bring their cattle and they'll sell them there. So they'll try and get a good price for them there.
Okay. So you are now selling cattle, Mick. Is that what you're saying? I did not know you had a ranch.
And here we go once again. Once more into Hector's world. Reality has gone out the window and Hector's thoughts are taking over.
Sorry, Eamon.
Hector, I don't have a ranch. I mean, do I look like a farmer to you?
I tell you something, Mick. By the looks of things, you're on dodgy ground. You do realise this.
Dodgy? Eamon, you say he's a dodgy? You're saying that the Mick is a dodgy farmer?
No, I never said that. I didn't say that at all.
Hold on a second, Hector. First of all, it was big kahunas you were trying to hit me with. And what are you trying to imply now? You're trying to say that I'm on some sort of dodgy stuff here.
I know why asking the question. Eamon, he said the dodgy. I only ask about the ranch.
I don't have a ranch, Hector. I've already told you this here.
But Eamon, he said that you're dodgy.
Hold on a second, Hector, now. What I said was that Nick was on dodgy ground because in your world, you're now looking to it through Hector's glasses and just about anything can happen there. So I never said anything about Mick being a dodgy farmer, a dodgy ranchero, or anything like that. I said he was on dodgy ground. That's the sort of thing stepping on the ice and it starts to break when you step on it.
He is on the ice. And what you say about my glasses? You know, they're not they're working fine. They're not broke on it. Okay. Can we just come back from all of that and maybe have a look at the football? Hector, just to put the record straight, Mick is neither a farmer or dodgy. He doesn't own a farm, doesn't own a ranch, and Eamon was merely pointing out you have a unique way of seeing and hearing things. I do. You do. Now, we're moving over to the football here. The highest score in game week 7 was 156 points, and the average points were 49. How is the league table looking? Well, of course, there's no change at number 1, Taiga. Eamon, do you want to talk about this manager this week?
Indeed, Taiga are still in first place. They are 52 points is what they got. They had one transfer. Archer went out for 2 points. Morris came in for 10 points. They had Haaland as the captain for 4 points. Alvarez was there with 8. Morris, as I said, had 10 points. Son chipped in 7. Saka popped up with 9 points. And Saliba had 6 points. On the bench, the goalkeeper Johnson had 9 points. It was a good transfer move with getting Morris in. Stupian coming off the bench though with that -2 won't have gone down well. You try and avoid that, but unfortunately it didn't work here. They did put too much faith in Haaland for the captain this week. Because you look around that pitch, there's 5 other players who would have been a better choice. And considering that Man City are playing Arsenal next, will Taiga stick with Haaland or will he change? They're 1 point ahead of second place. They're starting to feel the heat here. They might be first, but I wouldn't be getting too comfortable now, boyo.
Speaking of second place, there's no change either. Silver Stroke, and they got 56 points. Mick, I might turn to you with this one.
They had one transfer this week. They put João Pedro went out for 4 points, and they brought this guy in, Amjoini, in for 2 points. At least I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know. Some of these lads have got strange names, you know. It could be Irish for all I know, but I don't think... It sounds like Amazon, but I don't think it is. Haaland was the captain. He got 4 points. Watkins had 23 points there. Saka had 9. Ward-Prowse, and I told you keep an eye on him. He popped up with 4 points. Cash had 6 points, and Gabriel had 6 points also. On the bench, Saliba was there with 6 points. Now, the transfer really hasn't paid off. And I think they could have just held fire and held on to that transfer this week there. And I think it might have been best if that Burnley player out, this Amjoini, this guy they brought in. I've never heard of him. I wouldn't rate him anyway, but that's just certain. So they probably thought Burnley having 2 matches, they'll get an extra point or 2. I'm not sure about that. However, they have closed the gap on Taiga, and they're going to be very happy with that there. If anything, I have to say his manager has quite a few strokes up there, Steve. I think they're only warming up.
There's no change either then in third place with Saka's Steele, who picked up 63 points. Hector, I'll hand this one over to you. Thank you very much. And Saka Steele played wildcard this week, and they had Haaland as captain for 4 points. Morris had 10 points. Diaby had 8 points, Son had 7, Shar came in with 7 points, Trippier had the 12 points, and their goalkeeper Pope had the 6 points. On the bench, they had the Cash with 6 points there. Well, look, he had dealt with the Rashford and the Chilwell, and Jackson had gone the week before. They clear out in order to stop the rot, to try and hold third place, get back into second, into first place there. They badly needed this because they had been the 3 weeks on the drop. They had timely intervention. I think that's how they would say it here. Now, they have fired off their wild cards. The question is, can they storm back into first position? And I don't know, because putting it like this, they're going to face stiff opposition from the Silver Stroke and the Taiga. And I think they're going to have to be looking over their shoulder also. Yes, you say they're going to be looking over their shoulder because there's no change either in fourth place with Bamford rejects. Eamon, this manager continues to surprise us here.
This manager picked up 63 points this week. They didn't have any transfers. They had Haaland as the captain for 4 points. They did have Watkins for that 23 points. Son was there with 7. Easy was there with 6. Saka had 9 points. Shevchenko had 6 points. And the goalkeeper, Areola, had 6 points. If anything, I'd say this manager is playing it very, very cool. The Rock, as I like to call him now, is as cool as a cucumber. And with no transfers this week, they've actually matched Saka's steals points-wise. And they played the wild card, as we just learned. So take that with your wild card. It's a good result, although it might be coming to the point where they're going to have a look at a few injuries. It's time to address that maybe there. But they're still only 4 points behind Saka's steal. And if anything, this manager is certainly keeping up the pressure. The Rock is not for budging.
There's no change then either in 5th place with Raglan Road. 60 points, Mick.
Yeah, they had the one transfer, didn't they? Awani went out for 2 points and they brought Morris in for 10 points. Halland was the captain for 4 points. As I said, Morris got 10 points. Watkins had 23. Trippier had 12 points. And the goalkeeper, Raya, had 6 points. And on the bench, their other goalkeeper, Ariola, had 6 points. Saka had 9 points. The transfer is solid. Can't fault it. Well done, lad. And can I just point out one thing here? Raglan's done something that no other manager has achieved so far this season. They've held on to 5th place for 2 weeks in a row. As I think you mentioned it there, the other episodes, that managers got into 5th place, but they couldn't hold it. So this is an achievement for this manager. Well done on that. There was 9 points from Saka. Well, if they had those, they could have been potentially parachuting into the top 3 position. But I don't think this manager is going to be crying into the tea about this there. I think more likely they'll be doing a little jig around the sunroom.
No change either then in 6th place with What a Beauty 99 Hector. How did this manager get on? They got the 58 points for a start. They had no transfer. Haaland was the captain for 4 points. Watkins was there with 23 points. Saka had 9. Ward-Prowse had 4. Saliba had 6 and Cash had 6 points. They did not take the 5th place back. They lost it, remember. But however, they did not go any further down the table, and that is a positive to take away from this. They do seem to be in a little bit of no man's land for themselves. They have a little cushion, between themselves and 7th. They are a couple of points behind the 5th. They're not able to take it. The subs bench, I think, does need to be worked on. It needs a little bit of the TLC. It wouldn't go amiss, that's for sure. And if they wait too long to make these few changes, they're probably going to be standing here wondering, how did I miss the next bus? Where is it? Right, thank you for that, Hector. Buses included. No change either then in 7th place with AFC Toon Alley. Eamon, this manager is hanging around in the top 10 for longer than expected. They must be doing something right.
They got 53 points is what they got. There are no transfers now. They had Haaland as the captain for 4 points. Alvarez picked up 8 points. Saka had 9. That guy Ward-Prowse had 4 points. Saliba had 6 points. Trippier had 12 points. And our goalkeeper Sanchez had 7 points. On the bench, Doughty had 9 points. It is another consistent week for this manager. Yes, they're making no great moves with transfers. Still waiting to break into the 400-point barrier mark there. They've got money in the bank. So I think it might be a time to Spend now, AFC Toon Alley. Don't wait. Buy that star player and push on. 8th place sees no change. Finally got there. Still hanging on to it. Hector, all good here with this manager, is it?
They got the 51 points. They had 1 transfer. Udward went out. He had no points. They brought in Morris in for 10 points. They have to decide to captain the Ward-Prowse, and he got the 8 points. Alvarez had 8 points. Morris, as I say, he had the 10 points. Saka had 9. Saliba has 6, and the goalkeeper, Ariola, he has 6 points as well. The transfer is a good move. They opted for a different captain, and you have to commend this manager for that. No massive impact yet coming from when they played their wild card. And I'm wondering, is this manager maybe a little bit concerned there? And, you say finally got there? Well, finally have not arrived yet and still have some work to do. Some done, more to do. 9th place, we have a non-mover, Annual Town. They had 51 points, Mick. They had 1 transfer this week. Jackson went out. He didn't get any points. And Nawani was brought in for 2 points. They had Captain Morris, who got 20 points. And Diaby got 8. And Trippier had 12 points. The transfer got them 2 points. Okay. I don't think we can get too excited about this. We're not going to be breaking out the marshmallows just yet and toasting them on the fire. 2 points is 2 points, I suppose. And look, every 2 points counts. The captain choice was good. Going for Morris paid off for him there. And it was a bold move to go and install those Haaland followers out there. But I think the manager needed this.
because there wasn't much else happening on that pitch apart from Morris getting that 20 points and Diaby getting the 8 and Trippier was there. The rest of the lads not doing a lot there, but I suppose this manager is probably going to be very happy. They're holding 9th place this week, and that's the important thing. They haven't gone down. That's the main thing. In my book, if you're not going down, you're doing something right.
Well, in that case, you'll be pleased to know, up 2 places to 10th is Blightsome Squad, who got 62 points. Hector. And the Blightsome had 62 points, as you said. They had to do transfers. Semeno went out for 1 point. Morris came in for 10 points. Saliba went out for 6 points. And Koyobi, he came in for 3 points. They had Morris as the captain for 20 points. Alvarez had 8. Ward-Prowse had 4 points. Anderson had 15. And their goalkeeper, Sanchez, he picked up these 7 points. The Morris transfer was very good. Top marks there. You get the points. I don't know, though. Putting Saliba out did not seem to be a move to do. They done it. It didn't pay off there. The midfield don't look very weak, but this probably is the sort of game week where a lot of managers had trouble with their midfields and that. The selection of Morris as the captain, in my view, is what has got him back into the top 10. We spoke about his manager bouncing back, and they have proved us correct. I think what they had on the bench would have been really, really big. Like, they had goalkeeper Areola had 6 points and Odegaard had 17 points there. If those 17 points had been on the pitch, that had going to shake up a few of the managers ahead of them. In my view, those managers may thank their lucky stars that Blightsome did not have Odegaard on the pitch. As a result of Blightsome moving up, down 1 place to 11 is Arkham Avengers, Eamon.
Arkham Avengers, our old friend, the spoofer, got 49 points. They had 1 transfer. You went out for 2 points and Morris came in for 10 points. They opted for Morris as the captain and they got 20 points. Alvarez had 8 points. Pedro Porro had 7 points. And the goalkeeper, Areola, had 6 points there. On the bench, Saliba was sitting with 6 points. The spoofer got both their transfer move and their captain selection right. So that's one thing that they're doing there. Had they not brought Morris in and captained him, this would have been a complete disaster for this manager here. The midfield, they're a complete washout. The defence is much better. Like, Varane came on with 2 points and Stupian is sitting there with -2 points. It's hard to see what this manager might do next. They played the wild card, that's gone there. And after 7 game weeks, they're a bit off the pace. It's not working for the spoofer here. The spoofer usually pulls a rabbit out of the hat here from time to time. 7th position has been their best all season. It's been a long time since they've been up there. It's a long time since they've been making any sort of impact on the top 10. This season, the spoofer is down, and usually I would say the spoofer belongs down in 6th, 7th place. I'm going to say it's refreshing to see the spoofer is actually out of the top 10 altogether. It's new territory for him, and he might have to just get used to it this season because the other lads are doing plenty ahead of him, and once those managers are working, it's hard to get in there and to budge them down.
Also down are Toboggers. They were in 11th place previously. They're now down to 12th. Mick, what's going on here?
Toboggers, 48 points. They played their wild card. Just remember that. Just said they played their wild card. They had Haaland as the captain for 4 points. Alvarez at 8 points. Son at 7. Saka had 9 points. And Trippier had 12 points. On the bench, Burns was sitting there with 6 points. I think, first off, if we look at this manager's trying to shake up this team a little bit there. Well, it hasn't really worked this week, has it? Like 48 points. They certainly won't be very happy with that once you activate the wild card. But the one positive, well, I was trying to find a positive in amongst all the negatives, is they've halted that slide. And, 6 points. Say Burns in there, 6 points could have got them into 10th place there. So, look, all's not lost. And this is what I say to the Toboggers. My advice, don't force this. Just make a little tweak here or there. Settle yourself. You'll get into top 10. Don't worry about it. Don't panic. Don't panic. That's what I say.
Well, there's no change in 13th place with Medina's 64 points, Hector. This manager have 2 transfers this week. Rodrigo, he has suspended, so he put him out and he brought Madison in for 2 points. Chilwell went out because he is injured and he brought the Burn in for the 6 points. Haaland was the captain, 4 points. Alvarez had 8 points. Saka had 9 points. Odegaard had 17. Burn, as I said, had 6 points. Trippier had 12 points. And their goalkeeper, Alisson Becker, had 4 points. On the bench,
The other goalkeeper, Areola, had 6 points there. It's another solid result, which sees this manager remain on the rise overall in fantasy football. Another green arrow for them there. This is, in my opinion, I think this is the dark horse of the league of the season here. They're quietly getting on with the matter of managing their team. You don't see no fuss. You don't see them throwing toys at her pitch. You don't see them panicking. They're only 8 points away from the top 10. And at the rate they're going, I really would not be surprised that we see them break into the top 10 in the next 2 to 3 game weeks here. This manager is taking it very slow, being very patient, but they're doing everything right. No change in 14th place with Lafayette Lions. Eamon, they got 61 points this week. A good result.
Debatable, I have to say. Debatable. They had to play a free hit to get that 61 points. They had Morris as the captain for 20 points, Alvarez had 8, Ward-Prowse had 4, Gordon had 5 points, Trippier had 12 points, and the goalkeeper, Areola, had 6 points there. On the bench, Zuma had 7 points there. I can understand the move by this manager by playing the free hit, a bit like Tobaggers are trying to stop the slide here. But I wonder, was it the wisest thing? It wasn't a great game week for a lot of managers. Okay, they did get 61 points. Did it get them up? It didn't. Medina's got 64 points without playing any free hit. And it's one thing to try and nip the rut in the bud, but the real question here remains is, how is Lafayette Lions going to make up the difference in points between where they are now and those managers ahead of them there? And in an attempt to try and get into the top 5, this is a manager I would expect it to have seen in the top 5, 5th or 6th place at the moment. They are miles off at the moment, and we're not used to seeing them down here, and it's going to be a test of character to see how do they react and how do they overcome this. As I would say, things have not been going their way, but it hasn't been going that way for Tobaggers either. They've been in a bit of a trouble. Lightsome have had a little bit of a blip as well. The other lads are just getting on with it there. Once you have the blip, you have to overcome that blip, but you have to redouble your efforts in order to overcome that blip.
That is an awful lot of blips, Eamon.
Yes, sometimes I look at you, Hector, and I wonder if I could press a button and blip you.
Well, that is not very nice.
It wasn't meant to be nice.
Now, no change either in 15th place, all blips aside. Mexican Amigos, 17 points. Hector, what's going on here? That is a very good question. I'm glad you asked that of me. They had no transfer for a start. Haaland came in with 4 points. Son had 7 points, and they were the star players of this team. Possibly, I think he has to be one of the worst results for many of our managers. I have not seen a result like this for a long time. It comes across to me here that it's like this manager have no interest in the football events, that they are not up for the challenge. They have abandoned their players. It's a long time since they were active in the transfer market, and the team looked jaded. Everything looked just... One piece of advice probably here I say is to play the wild card. Change your team, try and do something with it here. They're falling adrift, and to me it looked like they're going to remain in the wilderness. They're not doing anything. At the moment, they're already starting to fall away from the Lafayette Lions, who is not having a good season so far. So you would think if Mexican Amigos would do something, they might actually put Lafayette in bigger trouble. Medinacas has just been doing the little transfer, getting on with things. Mexican Amigo, you should take a leaf out of Medinaca's book. And finally, of course, there's no change in 16th place. Flores Rovers. Mick, not much happening here, is there?
I don't know. They got 45 points. There are no transfers, but captain is Kane for some reason. Saka was there with 9 points. Anderson had 15 points, and their vice captain was Alisson Becker. He got 8 points. There's not a lot to see here, and there's not a lot to talk about, I have to say. This is another manager is not even trying to make an effort here, looking after this team here. It's as though you'd wonder sometimes that these managers, they're looking for an exit strategy or something. I'm just kind of lost for words, really.
It is hard to talk about this manager and the Mexican Amigos as well. It's just very hard to, when you look at that team, to find any nugget of light. And I am starting to wonder, do we need an exit strategy in this league to help this, and I'm going to call it a non-manager, because they're not managing, to drop out? Is it time for 16 to become 15?
Okie dokie, lads. Thanks very much for that. And thanks for looking at the managers there. Can I just say there, I was listening to both Mick and to you, Eamon. Surely it's a bit harsh when you're talking about removing Flores Rovers from the league.
No, I don't think it is harsh. Clearly, they have no interest, so why are we spending time talking about them? 16th position at the moment is of no addition where I sit. It's not doing anything. That team's not doing anything. That manager's not doing anything there.
Hector, Mick, can I get your thoughts on this? I mean, I'm open to hear all sides.
Well, I do agree, and as I was saying there, maybe this manager is looking for an exit strategy. I don't know, but he does have a point. This manager has kept Kane as their captain. Why? There's been no transfers, and those players have been just left there. There's nobody managing them there. We've had other managers previously who might have come in, mightn't have done a lot, but every so often they make some sort of a change their captain, or they do a transfer. They've done something. 16th position here at the moment. It's not doing much, and maybe we should have an exit move for this manager in the next couple of weeks.
Can I just add here? My thinking, give this manager 3 game weeks. If they do not do the thing in 3 weeks, then out. Goodbye. Adios.
I like your thinking, Hector. Yes, I think 3 strikes and they should be out.
I certainly think I could go with that there.
Okay, folks. Well, clearly the panel have some definite thoughts on this. So, am I right with this? So, we're putting this out here at the moment for Flores Rovers. If they're listening, or if somebody who knows them is listening to the show here, that they're on a 3-strike notice.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So if there's no activity from them with their team, and we're talking about some changes with players or the captain, or maybe they play a wild card or free hit, that they're going to be heading for the exit.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
I think that's good enough. 3 strikes, 3 game weeks. You do something. It's out the door with you. Go home. I think we'll hand it over to Hector now here, and we'll have this week's Hector's Hellos. I thank you very much, host, and may I welcome all our listeners to this week's Hector's Hellos. This week, I'd like to give a big shout out to all our listeners in Spain, especially to the Philip in the Caroline. That's nice to hear from you. Now, hope all is well. We have listeners in Bilbao, Salamanca. Then we go over to France. We say hi to our friends in Lyon, Paris, Montpellier. We nip over to Italy then, and we say hello, especially to Francois in Florence. Very nice of them to get in touch also. Hope all is keeping well. They say they like listening to the show. Then we have our listeners in Turin, Milan, and I want to say hi to all our listeners tuned in Greece, Turkey, over in Cairo in Egypt. We have usual listeners, and a big hello to our people in Frankfurt on Main in Germany. Very nice that you join us all the time. Gdansk in Poland makes an appearance. We have Baku in Azerbaijan. Then we say hello to everyone in Iran who tunes in, Saudi Arabia, India, Japan, Australia. And this week we have a big hello to our listeners in the place called Stanley, and this is on the Falkland Islands. Hello to everybody there. Also a big hello to our tuned in listeners in Rio, Colorado, in Argentina, Brazil. Hi to all my family. Hope you are keeping well. Nice that you keep in touch with us. We have our listeners in Uruguay, Chile, Mexico. Then we go to Fort Myers in Florida. Hope everybody is well there. Montgomery in Alabama. Now we have listeners in Nashville, Tennessee. They're playing here music there. Hope they're going to strum a song for us here on the podcast sometime. We have listeners in Big Spring in Texas. Then we go to Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Ottawa in Canada. We also go to Bangor in Canada. And now we move over to London, Liverpool, our listeners in Manchester, Newcastle, Blackpool, Glasgow, Shetland Islands back again. Nice of you to be tuned in. We pop over the water to Belfast, Donegal, Kildare, Dublin, Mayo, Monaghan, Cavan, Kerry, Carlow, and finally to Sligo. So, listeners, remember, if you want to get in touch with me, you can send in the email to me, and the address is Arkham Avengers, ffpl@gmail.com. I look after it. And that is from me. A big hello and a big goodbye to everybody. See you next week. And it's back to you, host. Well, thank you very much for that, Hector, there. And can I say thank you not only to you, but also to Eamon and Captain Fantastical Mick for all your input, your thoughts and views on our managers. And we'll be back next week. Of course, we'll be taking a look at Gameweek 8. And after that, there is a little break for international football. But can I just say, as always, thank you to our listeners for joining us. And of course, if you would like to get in touch, you can do so by the email address Hector has read out. You can contact us on Facebook or by X, formerly known as Twitter. You can send us a message there. We hope that you have a good few days ahead. Stay safe and pretty much all that remains for me to say now is good morning, a good afternoon, good evening, a good night. We're everywhere in the world. Mind yourselves. Take care. We'll be back. Slán.